Look at these squares. Your visual system reports A is dark and B is light. In reality, they are identical. Your brain knows shadows make things darker, adjusting perception. Even with the bar proving the truth, your mind overrides data. This happens because of a severe biological bottleneck. Every second, your senses are bombarded with roughly 11 million bits of data. Your conscious mind, however, can only process about 50 bits in that same second. This extreme filtering means we experience the world through a narrow keyhole. Your conscious mind receives a condensed highlight reel, curated by the non-conscious based on what your internal scripts flag as important. These internal scripts dictate more than just visual perception. They control physical endurance. In the 1950s, researcher Kurt Richter placed rats into glass cylinders filled with water to measure how long they could swim under extreme stress. Richter tested aggressive, physically superior wild rats. Despite their immense strength, every single one drowned within 15 minutes. Some sank almost immediately. Richter noted that these animals were physically capable of swimming, but they had given up, displaying a state of hopelessness. Richter then took a new group of wild rats. Just before they drowned, he scooped them out and held them briefly, allowing them to catch their breath. This momentary reprieve taught them that being placed in the water did not mean certain death. Astonishingly, these newly conditioned rats swam for 60 hours. That is more than 2.5 days of non-stop effort. Richter found that once they learned the situation wasn't hopeless, they regained their aggression and tried to escape. To understand this, look at motivation as a triangle. One side is behavior, the actions you take. Another is the benefit you desire. The foundation connecting them is belief, the conviction that your actions yield results. Without belief, motivation collapses. The rats' physical condition remained unchanged. However, the newfound expectation of rescue sustained their effort, turning a 15-minute surrender into 60 hours of nonstop swimming. We live in the space between two extremes. On one side are facts, measurable, verifiable truths like the freezing point of water. On the other side is faith, conviction without the need for evidence. But most essential life questions happen in the vast space between the two. That space is where belief lives. A belief is a working model of reality, a cognitive shortcut we use to navigate life and make decisions without having perfect information. These working models can override physical suffering. In medical procedures known as hypnosedation, patients undergo orthopedic surgeries, where surgeons carve through tissue and bone without anesthesia. By strictly narrowing the aperture of their attention and focusing on an internal scene, these patients selectively ignore sensations that would normally overwhelm them. They use a belief to reshape what their mind experiences. Beliefs function as strategic tools for navigation. Choosing a model based on its utility allows you to act in an uncertain world while remaining flexible enough to adjust as new evidence arrive. While beliefs can help us ignore physical pain, they can also create social problems where none exist. When pointed at our relationships, these filters often manufacture the very conflict we want to avoid. The author describes a video call where his mother mentioned some wilting flowers in his background. Because he held an ingrained belief that she was hypercritical, he immediately interpreted her comment as a personal attack. This is the judgment trap. Once you think you know someone, you stop truly seeing them. You interact with a mental image of who you think they are, rather than the person standing before you. This belief acted as a filter. It highlighted her tone of voice and past slights, while completely deleting the words of appreciation she had expressed earlier in the call. He hallucinated a criticism because his filter was already searching for one. This cycle creates a self-fulfilling prophecy. When you expect a threat, your brain highlights the data to confirm it, which shapes how you act and how others respond, reinforcing the initial belief that they are the problem. This filtering mechanism affects how we recognize opportunity. It explains why some people feel perpetually lucky, while others constantly struggle. Researcher Richard Wiseman spent a decade studying these groups. In one study, he asked participants to count the number of photos in a newspaper. Halfway through the newspaper, Wiseman placed a large ad that read, "Stop counting. Tell the experimenter you have seen this and win $250. The participants who identified as unlucky focused so narrowly on counting photos that they filtered out the cash prize staring them in the face. Their rigid belief about the task erased the opportunity from their reality. The lucky group looked wider and saw more. Their broader, liberating beliefs about the world allowed them to spot the reward that the others missed. You are the one programming your 50-bit filter. What you perceive is not an objective recording of reality. It is an assembly of the data your beliefs tell you to prioritize. The utility of a belief matters more than its provability. Adopting a perspective based on its usefulness allows you to navigate life's challenges with more skill and resilience than a limiting assumption. Perception is only the first step. While beliefs shape how you see the present, your expectations can actually alter your future biology. In Part 2, we will look at how your brain uses anticipation to heal the body and the science behind the placebo effect.